Give us a little peek into your earnings. You did well. What are you looking for next year?
We did well, and remember, this was a year when last summer Europe had a lot of security issues. We had the bombings in Paris and Nice and Brussels. So, we've done very well to grow traffic 13%, profits up 6%, earnings per share, thanks to share buybacks, are up 14%. This year, slightly more benign outlook. We think earnings will grow this year by about 8%. We'll grow traffic probably by about 8%. Unit costs will be slightly down. We're saving on fuel, but we're passing all of that on in the form of lower fares. So we're guiding our average fares this year down 5 to 7%.
And what about traditional things like load factor and excess capacity? How does it look right now in Europe from your point of view?
From our point of view, but we operate because we're at the lowest, at the low price end. Our load factor is 94%. It's a world record high, and so we think we'll maintain it at 94%. Frankly, people are moving around to get our cheap fares, and events like what befell BA at Heathrow and Gatwick over the weekend can only be good for our business. Our airline is about 4 times larger than BA, and we don't expect to have the kind of IT issues that they struggled with over the weekend. You have to wonder where their disaster recovery program was.
Let's talk about it. Did you have a good weekend? Was it a better weekend for Michael O'Leary than it usually is?
No, events like that don't help at the weekend because, our load factor this weekend was 98%. It's not like we had a lot of extra empty seats that we could take disrupted BA passengers. But we're certainly seeing a build-up yesterday and today of bookings into June, July, August. I think people are not willing to take the risk that they'll be stranded by BA at Heathrow. To be fair, these are events that befall all companies.
When Alex Cruz took the role at British Airways, he was asked whether he was going to Ryanairize the company. And what they meant by that was putting the emphasis on costs and away from customer services. You and I have talked before about the evolving nature of the Ryanair business.
Yeah.
Give the guy some advice. Can you really get costs down and neglect customer service in your experience and what you've learned over the last 10 years?
You see, the question has an inbuilt bias. In Ryanair, we don't sacrifice customer service. We have the newest aircraft, we have the most on-time flights, we have the lowest fares. And we have, through the Always Getting Better program, we're now doing bags, catering, all the kind of service that people expect. So we don't accept that you trade off customer service with costs. I think the problem for someone like Alex Cruz and BA is, they talk about cutting costs, but they never cut the airfares. So the fares are still high. But to be fair, I think, short-haul air travel here in the US, in Europe, is becoming commoditized.
Yeah.
The lowest cost wins. And the fact is, the lowest cost is Ryanair. In the last 12 months, the headline number is our unit cost ex-fuel went down by 5 points. In IAG, I think they were up 2 or 3.
So, Michael, as you look at growth, longer-term growth for Ryanair, is it taking more market share within Europe, or is it expanding outside, particularly on long haul?
No,
for example, to the United States.
No, for us, it's absolutely within Europe, David. But the opportunities are falling in the door to us. You have Alitalia in Chapter 11 in Italy. They're going to come out smaller. Air Berlin being restructured, probably taken over by Lufthansa in Germany, going to come out much smaller. The reality is, in Europe, nobody can compete with Ryanair on price or on costs, and nobody can compete with us on customer service either.
Well, to what extent are you concerned about developments, geopolitical developments, such as Brexit, and maybe that sort of cutting into travel?
Yeah, I think Brexit's a real issue for us. I think people have not yet focused on the impact of Brexit. And sadly, the people who haven't focused on it are the British government. They have no plan B whatsoever. If you take what Theresa May is saying at the moment, they say, well, we're not going to abide by European Court of Justice rulings, which means you're out of open skies. And if you're out of open skies, the only way you can fly to Europe is you've got to do it bilateral with the Europeans in the next 18 months. There is no possibility, I think, that they'll negotiate a bilateral within 18 months. So there's a real prospect. And the Europeans have sensed this. One of the ways of taking a stick to the British economy is no flights to Europe for a period of time after March 19. And that's where they're really going to start putting pressure on Theresa May. I think there's a real prospect for a couple of weeks or a couple of months after March 19 of no flights to and from the UK.